Again. Thank you, everybody. We welcome Mo, the Scarlet Siren, and she is joining us tonight for the Cavalcade. She works with one of our tribe members, New York Times bestselling author, S.L. Jennings, and that's how she came to us. S.L. Jennings is now living in South Korea with her children and probably getting some writing down there, but that is something that she's always wanted to do. But Mo came to us during the Sugar and Spice anthology, and she was starting to give suggestions. She was in the background. She was supposed to be the virtual personal assistant for S.L. Jennings, but because we had to include her in the group to keep S.L. Abreast of everything, she was there. And as she saw us doing things not quite right, she would chime in. And from there, we asked her, when things weren't going right, or when she was reading something or doing whatever, she offered to help some things. And then we elevated her to doing editing for us. I'm like, editing, don't charge us an arm and a leg and a couple of toes. Yes, I said that. But that's how she started getting paid to do editing for the tribe when we did the Sugar and Spice, because she started by helping. And I'm very much one of those people, you come in, you give in, we're going to find a way to give back. And you were just awesome. You work with so many authors. You wear the reviewer hat, the blogger hat, you wear the editor hat, the virtual personal assistant hat. How did the name the Scarlet Siren come about?
Well, when I started my blog, 2011, 2012, since I'm primarily focused in romance, I was trying to find something that sounded romancy. And not just like Mo's reviews, because that's boring and I'm a little bit extra, so I needed that. So I batted a couple different ideas around, and then with the red hair that now I could never change, that name just kind of stuck.
Good.
I like alliteration, so it just worked for me.
Indeed. And you also actually, you support Black authors, and evidently, well, as everyone can see, you're not a Black woman, but you support Black authors, and you give us a platform on Mo the Scarlet Siren, and to make sure you review and to give that balance. What has that been like for you're trying to promote on your page and things of that sort, and people give it like, well, why are you reading those books? Do you ever get that experience where people are kind of questioning, why are you a virtual personal assistant to a Black author, as well as reading Black books and promoting Black books?
I can't really say that I've had too much, kickback in that way, because for me, it's important. Everybody needs to have their story told. No matter who you are, where you're from, what walk of life, your story is important. And I think it's important myself to read outside of my little box, because I can learn a little bit more about other people's experiences. So I read books from Black authors, I read books from, gay authors, trans authors. I think that it's very important to expand my worldview. And so I'm lucky in that I haven't had a lot of negative reaction. And you know me, if I did, I would let somebody have it. But I think because people know that I'm not one to sugarcoat or kind of gloss over anything, like I'm not afraid to get down to it and tell my truth about a story, that people appreciate that. So any book that I'm telling them about, they're interested in hearing my opinion about it, because they know that I'm just going to get down to the bones of the story, if that makes sense.
It does. Have you received any have you handled any backlash? Because if anybody is on your page, they can see that you speak your mind. You're very vocal. You're very out there. You're a lot like King Brooks. King Brooks is like balls to the wall. I was gonna say something in reverse for the female side. I remember I'm being recorded. But how have you gotten any backlash for giving an author considered a negative review?
Oh, sure. I have. And, I've been called a bully for leaving a negative review. I've been reported to Amazon for abuse for a negative review. I had one woman wanted to include my bad review in a news piece about online bullying.
Whoa.
And I mean, I try not to come at anybody from like a bad space, but like if I get my back up, I felt that like that's a personal attack on me. Like I'm allowed to have my opinion of your work, and if you don't like it, well, I'm sorry, but my review isn't necessarily for you as an author. As an author, if you want my opinion, ask me to beta read. My reviews are out there for other readers to inform them about a book that I've read and my opinions on that book. So, I mean, if you as an author don't like it, I'm sorry for that. But I try not to be, I try to be objective about the book. My review isn't about the person who wrote the book. So, you may choose to take it personally, but that's kind of on you, not on me.
There have been some instances where authors have taken it personally, and it went. Do you remember any of those instances where it went pretty ugly between a reader and an author?
Oh, I see it a lot. And you kind of get that mob mentality, especially if it's a more popular author. The readers want to defend their, the person whose work they enjoy. So they'll be, they have these, a lot of groups online that are really just there for, petty drama. And these readers will attack the reviewers. They will, downvote them on Goodreads. They leave lots of nasty comments. So, I mean, I'm lucky that I haven't gotten that. And I think mostly because a lot of the books that I may have negatively reviewed aren't necessarily from bigger authors.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the authors themselves who are upset with my opinions. But the readers can be vicious when they are defending the authors that they love. And unfortunately, some authors will encourage that behavior. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no authors that I work with are, about that, thankfully. And I'd have to rethink working with someone who did encourage that kind of behavior.
Right, because that mentality, because it means it will shut people down before they even want to they won't review at all.
Yeah.
And it won't be just for that author, it'll be for other authors.
Right,
So
because you kind of scare someone away from doing it in general.
Yeah, it's a bad precedent. And that's a good point. So you've had to drop authors that encourage that. That was almost like Beyonce and her Beehive. They say, don't come for the Beehive. That's some strong.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, but we have authors that have that Beehive as well. That will
right,
come
absolutely
for reviewers, the authors. So it's just been really interesting in that, because I think we have seen where an author goes on Amazon. I've seen that. And they have a whole back and forth argument with the reviewer on the review, when you can leave comments.
Oh yeah. And that's
it
rule
was,
number 1. You never reply to a review. You might not like it, go complain in your private author groups, go cry to your friends. Don't be out there on Amazon showing your behind.
because there was one author, didn't one author stalk a reviewer?
Yes, I heard about that. I couldn't put my finger on the name right now, but yes, I did hear about that. And there was an author who wrote a whole book kind of in parody of the reviewer. This was quite a few years ago, but it was a big thing. Like, this author basically catfished a reviewer,
Mm-hmm.
got to know them, and then wrote this whole book kind of making fun of them.
It
was pretty wild.
Kathleen Hale who stalked Kathleen Hale?
That sounds familiar. Was she the one with she wore the astronaut diapers and like drove cross country to find this person?
Okay,
I'm
yes, that's
serious.
That's the one. That's the one.
You know?
wow.
Yeah. I mean, it can the business can be crazy.
And it shouldn't be. Yeah, a crazy stalker. Author Kathleen Hale admitted to stalking a Goodreads user because she did not like the review. And that was, you say diapers?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
literally wore Depends diaper and drove like, I think it was like either 24 hours straight or something, or some crazy number like that, as far
Yeah,
as
so
that
she
was.
wouldn't have to stop. She wore the diapers.
Found the woman at her house.
Mm-hmm.
Authors, this is what not to do.
Yes, please don't do that.
When it comes to that, you know, it's like, wow, that is beyond extreme. You cannot take it personal. And we actually have one person coming up. One of the reviewers that reviews on NetGalley is coming up, and she gave King of Arabia a 1 star. And we're going to discuss how she became a, she's one of our beta readers now.
Okay.
And
I've heard that a lot too.
Yeah, need to understand that, how that came about, because that was an amazing experience, because understanding, and I had to break down her review. I don't look at negative reviews and say, I need to see why. And she at least said why.
Right.
And she got it from NetGalley, and she gave it to us in enough time where we could make corrections. So
good.
It was, I'm going to talk more about that. The 1-star reviewer who became one of the tribe's beta reviewers, because you want people who love you enough to, well, she didn't love us in there. She didn't know us from Adam Eve's cat, but will tell you what's wrong with your work and poke holes.
Right.
You don't want the people who are going to be the yes people.
No, that's not helpful.
Yeah, you don't want those people, because it's the readers aren't yes people.
Yeah.
They're not, yes, they don't care about you.
I was just talking to an author friend of mine today. I just finished beta reading her book. And she says, you know, tell me what you think. Tell me what you really think. I'm not afraid. She says, give it the Mo review. What did you think? And I was like, well, it's like 2.5 stars for me. I'm sorry. I love you. But, you know, and then we had a whole conversation about what was lacking from me, because other people have told her it's fantastic. And I'm like, well, maybe, but how about this?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can get a lot of helpful input from a negative review if it's done well.
Yes.
You know, there's a way to do it versus just slapping a 1 star. I hate this book. Never read it again. You know, there's a way to do it to actually be helpful to the person who wrote that book.
Exactly. Let's hear your top 3. Top 3 books.
Top 3 books like ever, like this week.
Ever.
Girl. I should have prepared. Dang it.
And you haven't been on. Oh well.
Just blindsided me. Okay. Oh well, one of my very favorites is it's a new release, a 2020 release. It's called The Astonishing Life of August March by Aaron Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the story of a little boy who is born backstage in a vaudeville theater. And he literally grows up in this theater. And he's just this dramatic kid because he's grown up around these actors and actresses. Like, he's brought up by the laundress of the theater. And it's just wonderful and frothy and delicious. And oh, I love it so much. So everybody look that one up. It was fantastic. Debut author too. And it was amazing. I'm looking at my shelves next to me, like, what else was good?
The top 3. So you got 2 more.
Top 3. This is so mean.
Well, okay. So Radia asks, what are you reading now? While you think of that, because I'm not going to let you off the hook. What are you reading right now?
What am I reading right now? Actually, I'm listening to an audiobook. It's a historical romance. Um, Chasing Cassandra by Lisa Kleypas. Book 6 in her
Ah,
Ravenel series, and it's wonderful. I love
oh,
that. What's that?
okay, King Brooks throws one at you. What did you think of Red, White, and Royal Blue?
Oh no, yes, that would be in my top. That would be in my top. Put that on my list.
Ah,
My top.
that's a blogger helping a blogger out. I'm seeing that. A reviewer, help a reviewer out. Okay.
I
Okay.
appreciate you, King. Oh, I love that book. That was my top book of last year. It's like a mature YA book about it's a female president. Her son falls in love with a prince of England, and it's their back and forth. There's a lot of like text and email communications, and it's delightful. It's so good. Their banter is wonderful. Oh, I love that book. I have to go read it again now.
Oh wow. Wait, so how did he know that is it on the shelf behind you?
I was gonna say, did he see it on my shelf? He may have seen it on my shelf.
I'm like, how
It's
did
up
he know
there hiding.
Ah, okay, okay.
Got
So
them eagle
you
eyes.
you haven't heard any of the other people because I was like, what would you add differently than all the other people have? And said we talked about covers, we talked about content. Uh,
Mhm.
give us your top one other piece of advice that you would tell an author not to do when it comes to approaching a reviewer.
Not to do. Don't not do your research. Don't send mass blind emails, especially off a list you got from somebody else. Do not do that. You have to put in the work, because you may be approaching a person who only reviews true crime books with your erotica novel. So you want to put that little bit of work in and, show somebody that you're not just looking for them to promote you. You want to have a relationship that's beneficial for the both of you.
How did you come in contact with SL Jennings? How did you all get together?
I guess when I started reading her books way before we started working together, and then I would just message her profusely because I love her, and I bullied her into being my friend. And then she was on deadline for one of her books. I want to say it was Light Shadows, which was the last book in her Dark Light series. And she's like, I need help. Will you help me? Will you help with my social media? I have to finish this. And I'm like, what? Yes, I will do that. And, she was stuck with me ever since. She couldn't get rid of me.
So you stalked your way to a job?
I did. How about that? But
no kidding.
Not like, evil stalk, like a very pleasant, encouraging stalk.
Well, that's awesome because she highly recommends you. And had you done that kind of work before?
Never. I learned on the job with her. I did my first editing with her books. So, she was really my stepping stone into my world domination that I'm working on.
Awesome. That's how we got our VPA. I put a call out there that we needed a virtual personal assistant because I knew you were like crazy busy because you did some VPA stuff for us for the Sugar and Spice anthology.
Right.
And in addition to the editing, in addition to offering suggestions of how to make it successful, which it was, and I put a call out there. I wanted somebody who had absolutely no preconceived notions about anything. I needed her to learn our way of what we needed. And it was Your Angel VPA. Somebody dropped her email address in the chat for us. Her name is Marie Lackey, and she is amazing, but she had no clue how to do it. And she grew into it. And she now has about
20. She's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, you've seen it?
Oh, yeah.
Good. So any parting words for where can everyone find you?
You can follow my Facebook page, the Scarlet Siren, on Facebook. My poor blog has to be remodeled, so I haven't been posting on there because I've gotten so busy with the podcast and our audio production, my poor blog has suffered, but I'm working on it. I am also on Instagram. You find me on the stories a lot. I never post actual photos. Just find me on Instagram stories at the Scarlet Siren. Or I'm usually on Twitter complaining about things.
Indeed. King Book says to tell you, I was looking at the bookshelf. I have 4 eyes.
It does. Because that's back there too. He got that one. Oh, but that's a fantastic
Wow.
book. I advise everyone to read that.
Indeed. We have a question coming from someone in the tribe. So I'm going to ask her to unmute so that she can ask you this question.
Okay.
Are you talking about me?
I just asked you to unmute. Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, all right. You did. Well, I was wondering, is there a particular hook in a book that makes you fall in love with it? Is it the character development, dialogue? What do you think seems to kind of connect you with a book?
For me, I love the dialogue. I love like smart banter. I love characters who won't like back down from each other, who like, especially like a strong female, since I mostly read romance, a strong female character that really gives as good as she can get. I love that. And I mean, I also enjoy like the alpha male throw you over the shoulder and, there's room for that in my repertoire too. But me, I just love really strong characters that I can connect with and people that I feel I want to be friends with that person.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I really love.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. King Brook, you can send me some of your books, Mo. That's King.
Hey,
I knew he had an ulterior motive.
We're gonna have to have a discussion about that. I don't know. We'll see.
Yes, he's King Brooks. He's always on Facebook, but he has been a big supporter of books, and that's why I wanted to make sure we had a variety, because not everybody, they read paranormal, they read books that are political, mystery, thrillers, sci-fi, fantasy, all over. So I wanted to get a good mix of people that have been in our circle, that have done the reviews, that have done the blogs, that that really support Black books and books of all ethnic authors of all ethnic backgrounds. So
right.
We thank you for being on tonight. You were like so worried a little bit, but you did fine. You did an excellent job.
I was like, who wants to talk to me? I'm boring.
Well, you gave us a lot of good wisdom here, so that's what this is about. This was directed, and there's some readers online, but this was actually directed at authors so they can learn these little nuggets. Everybody gave in something different. So once again, we thank you. If you want to hang out, Shannon
I appreciate
Harper.
you invited me.
I'm glad you came. Shannon Harper is someone you're familiar with because she was in the tribe at the same time that you.
Yeah.
So she's up next, and then April Bubb. You guys, please definitely, after Shannon, I know people were waiting on Shannon because Shannon is the bookaholic. I'm gonna say bookaholic. I'm gonna be nice today because I called it something else the other day, and if some people would consider that not pleasant, but she don't mind it so much. But April Bubb is the person coming behind her, and that's the one that gave King of Arabia 1 star before it went to press. And because of the things that she said, we were able to do some things to the book based, and I'm going to break down what she said and everything. And I want you to understand the exchange is because the exchange that we had, she actually went ahead and published a book that she's been holding on for 3 years. But I want to break down what that negative review was and what we took away from it, how we got her to be in our corner to tell us when anything else doesn't work, and why that was extremely important, as well as some things in the review that were not, they were subjective, and there were things that were objective. So I want to be able to tell authors what the difference between the both of those. So I am going to, you're going to stick around? You want to go in the backyard? And
yes, send me back.
Okay, I'm going to pull you right on here, and it will do one. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye now. Okay.